All right, today we're diving into something pretty unique, an online community called Divine Forex. They've blended this world of spiritual numerology with, you guessed it, the high-stakes world of financial trading. So let's get into how they try to connect the cosmos to the market. Right at the heart of their entire mission is this statement right here: health, wealth, and knowledge of self. These are the three pillars that everything else is built on. For them, this isn't just a catchy slogan, it's the absolute foundation of what they do. So to really wrap our heads around how this all fits together, let's start at the very beginning. The basics. What is this community and what are its core teachings? Okay, so it was founded back in 2020 by Tyraine L. The whole idea behind Divine Forex is that universal principles, and especially mathematics, can be a practical guide for your life. The core belief here is that numbers are actually a form of communication coming straight from the universe. And here's how they take those big, broad pillars and turn them into specific skills. For health, they're focused on qigong and healthy eating. When it comes to wealth, it's all about the practical side of Forex trading and really understanding credit. And for that third pillar, knowledge of self, well, the key to that is numerology. So let's get into what I think is the most fascinating part, their core ideology, which they call divine mathematics. This is the system that underpins, well, everything they do. And this quote really says it all. This is their fundamental belief. They see mathematics as more than just a tool for calculating things. They see it as the highest form of science for decoding your purpose and your personal cycles. It's basically a map for life, and it's written in the language of numbers. Their journey through these numbers all starts, as you might expect, with 1. Now, in their system, this represents knowledge, or the masculine principle of man. It's that first realization of I am, that raw creative energy, the spark of leadership, and the courage to go out and do your own thing. Following 1 is, of course, its natural counterpart, the number 2. And 2 is defined as wisdom, or the feminine principle of woman. It's all about duality, the yin and the yang. It embodies partnership, diplomacy, and the understanding that comes from bringing things together. So, what happens when knowledge and wisdom finally come together? Well, you get 3, which they call understanding, represented by the child. This is the birth of self-expression, communication, and that kind of social joy you see when ideas connect. But the journey doesn't stop there. It keeps going through a whole cycle of life stages. 4 is the time to build, to work and create order. Then 5 represents this period of change and freedom. 6 is all about focusing on family and community. And finally, 8 is where you attain power and financial success. But wait, before you get to the power of 8, there's a really, really critical step. And that step is the number 7, which they defined as God. This stage is all about looking inward, about solitude, and establishing your own personal philosophy. As they put it, if we had attained the power before we found God, we would have been misguided with the power. Makes sense, right?
And the entire cycle wraps up and culminates with the number 9.
They call this the highest vibrational frequency, compassion. So after the whole journey through the other numbers, this final stage is about completion, selfless service, and ultimately giving back to the universe. So all of this raises a pretty big question, right? How does this deep philosophical journey through numbers connect back to the very practical world of financial trading? The Forex part of Divine Forex. It's a fair question. Why call it Divine Forex? Well, lucky for us, their own documents give us a very direct answer. And there it is. That's the connection. They call it Divine Forex because they genuinely believe their numerological system, which is a form of divination based on math, gives them a real, tangible edge in the financial markets. It allows them to interpret market cycles through this totally unique lens. And this chart here, it really just pulls it all together. You can see the super clear, direct line they draw from their 3 core maxims to the practical skills they teach. The principle of health leads to qigong, wealth leads to Forex trading, and knowledge of self is achieved through their system of numerology. It's all connected. Okay, so what does this actually look like in practice when someone decides to join? Let's walk through what their onboarding process for new members looks like. The whole process is actually very structured. First thing you do is order their foundational book on numerology.
Then, step 2 is all about online study, and they point you to a specific Forex course. Step 3 is about getting the actual tools for trading, the software, the communication groups, the accounts. And finally, step 4 is to start on the health component by getting access to the Qigong lessons. It's a complete blend of their core principles right from day one.
And ultimately, the whole idea of Divine Forex leaves us with this really compelling question to think about. Can a universal language like math truly define a personal journey of purpose, health, and wealth? It's a fascinating place where the spiritual and the practical meet, and it's what really drives this unique community.